Yeah, this is Paul. I was just sitting here, and I was reading this law dictionary. Yeah, I had some difficulty yesterday. Yeah. I didn't send any emails. There's probably a big question in the minds of those that are attorneys or police officers or sheriffs or those that are elected or appointed to office. Why didn't I send any emails yesterday? I sent hundreds of thousands of emails. Did you get any of them? Now, I had explained what crime was according to the dictionary here. Yeah. To violate a law or failure to enforce a law. Yeah. And I know there are those in judiciaries that say, well, you really can't impeach us. I mean, you're a Supreme Court justice in the state of California, and you're like, well, I'm not getting impeached. But it is such that there are certain requirements to be able to be a Supreme Court justice. Of course, you would have had to be an attorney. Yeah. You had to go to law school. Yeah. And you probably had a few clerkships during the course of your education. Yep. And then you got admitted to the Supreme Court as an attorney, and then you had that attorney oath. Yeah. And then you had that additional disclosure or statement that you would support and defend the Constitution. As I remember it, every attorney oath, as they were admitted to Supreme Courts of every state, has additional numbers of oaths or affirmations that they have to sign. Yeah, and then you get appointed to a Supreme Court, and there's that whole swearing in through the appointment process, and somebody subscribed it, and you invited your family and friends to the Supreme Court swearing in ceremony. And then you got an email from me. Well, a document that I titled RI.PDF doesn't have the signature of the petitioner. I wasn't given actual notice and opportunity to be heard. There's forgeries on that document. It hasn't actually been filled out the way that it was designed to be filled out so as to comply with the requirements of due process. Yeah. And you're sitting there thinking, I'm not getting impeached. You know, there's a word called guarantee, and as I understand, the rights in the Constitution are guaranteed. Now, let's say you're a Supreme Court justice in Louisiana, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not getting impeached. Now, when I document what is guaranteed, and we're going to look at what is guaranteed. What is guaranteed is my right to due process. Now, as a Supreme Court justice in any state of the United States, when you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my rights are being violated and you don't enforce the guarantees of your respective state constitution and the United States Constitution, I, as that American citizen that have emailed hundreds of thousands of emails, I'm sitting here on the street wondering why my guaranteed rights are not being enforced. Why is it that my rights that are guaranteed? Now, I'm going to find where it says in the Constitution that the rights of the citizens are guaranteed. Now, I know I've emailed sheriffs and police officers. In fact, this morning I was thinking about the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. How are they doing? You know, you would be surprised. Some of these other law enforcement agencies, I had emailed the Drug Enforcement Agency. Yep. And I said, well, I'm going to sue all of you. In fact, I had emailed the United States Marshals, And I said, well, my rights are being violated, my sons are being held hostage, my assets have been seized, and no one's communicating with me. And then I didn't get a response from the United States Marshals, one of the oldest law enforcement agencies in the nation. The U.S. Marshals have been around almost as long as the United States Postal Service. Now, let's say we just focus on just a couple things this morning. The guarantees of the United States Constitution, and then every person in the ATF that I'm going to sue, and if I get the evidence, going to prison. Then we'll focus on the DEA. Now, I emailed the DEA that the guaranteed rights of myself and my sons have been violated, and instead of responding to an email, the Drug Enforcement Agency decided that, well, we're just not going to get involved. I mean, we just can't enforce the laws of the United States. Now, I'm sure those in the DEA, once I sue them, and if at all possible, imprison every DEA agent, there could be some Supreme Court justices that begin to realize the very great probability of losing their seats on every Supreme Court. Now, when you email thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of those in law enforcement, that my guaranteed, I'm going to call you back.